Green meadow, landscape, farm, grazing cow, milk, dairy production, sufficiency, milk lake, subsidy, milk quotas, regulation, cows data, farm management. Dairying doesn't look anything like dairy farming of the recent past, let alone the era when the first cow was domesticated. The connected farm is becoming a necessity in a dairy world. By implementing the farm management software and sensors, farmers will be able to capture and have direct access to individual cow data from her first moment on a farm. This will enable farmers to bridge the data gap and increase dairy production through digitization. Monitoring animal growth parameters in a frequent and quantitative way is useful to help to maximize production efficiency. There are already companies like Canis, who has developed algorithms for facial cow recognition. Canis's imaging technology can identify an individual cow by her features in several seconds to memorize a cow's unique identity, recording individual pattern and movements. That information is used as part of an artificial intelligence-driven mathematical algorithm that conveys imagery into feed and water intake analysis, behavioral tracking, and health alerts that can be sent directly to the farmer. The technology will also have the power to covertly track cows' movements. Moving into a world where machines can follow around and characterize them based on only the physical is worrying, because it potentially limits any kind of freedom. It's the decision that makes the technology as an effective tool for surveillance. It also promises a greater form of control and abuse of power. Each cow under close surveillance in their daily lives, where they cannot do anything the farm management dislikes. Dairy cows are commercialized because they provide the milk products that companies sell. Since dairy cows are the product, dairy farmers use them as objects. In other words, they and their byproducts have value. If someone is willing to pay for an object, whether it breathes or it doesn't, a business can spring up around it. Unfortunately, we are moving further and further away from the ethical animal farming where families have a connection to individual members of their herds. Now farmer is replaced by robots and cameras that see cows only as a set of numbers in the farm management software. The cameras turn cows into a 3D object, where farmer is able to catch cows' insufficiency. Using 3D body scoring to capture the cow's condition, camera takes a 3D image of the backs every time they pass under the camera. Then it calculates the body condition score of each individually and sends it to the computer. The software notifies you if one individual falls below a certain score. The software is analyzing the best solutions to keep your cow in high-performance shape with a sufficient number of milk production. Milk production rapidly increased by introducing milking robots into the market. Before robots, cows were typically milked twice a day because of labor and time constraints. Now, cows can be milked 3 times a day or more, greatly increasing production and profits. The milking robot is connected to the farmer management software, where it stores data of everyday milk production and quality of the milk. Milk production per cow has more than doubled in the past 40 years. Increased consumption of dairy products coupled with increased growth in population translates into a need for approximately 600 billion kilograms more milk in 2067 than is produced today. Currently, average consumption is about 87 kilograms per person and is expected to increase to 119 kilograms per person worldwide. To produce this volume, an average dairy cow on the globe would need to double its annual yield from 2.5 kilograms to 4.6 kilograms. These numbers put extreme pressure on a cow's livelihood. To be constantly milked, dairy cows are required to give birth to 1 calf annually in order to produce milk for 10 months of the year. It also reflects in their health. Given a naturally healthy life, cows can live for 20 years or more. High-yielding dairy cows will typically be slaughtered after 3 or 4 lactations because their milk production drops and/or they are chronically lame or infertile. Per-cow production, though, can't climb forever. Eventually, dairy farmers will hit the limits of what a cow's body is able to do. As farming is becoming industrialized, with the high performance through technology and automation, the milk is becoming as cheap as we have it now. The milk is often cheaper than bottled water. Farmers are getting 29 cents per liter, which is the price you cannot produce from. It is not enough even though EU subsidize farmers to the tune of the 6.8 billion euro a year in the form of direct payments. Butter is cheaper now than it was in 1950. In the same period, the average European wage has grown eightfold. That's forcing many farmers to sell their milk for less than it costs them to produce it. From 1984 to 2015, the EU regulated its production through milk quotas. They were set at 10% above European consumption to maintain exports and to put pressure on the prices that were paid to farmers. In 2015, they were abolished. The change was meant to help the farmer grow their business, but it only made farmers produce way too much milk as a result. The prices of the milk fell dramatically, and farmers started making less money than they were spending on production. The deregulation led to more oversupply, piling even more pressure on prices. The EU bought over 550,000 tons of powdered milk, hoping it would allow the market to recover. But now they want to put it back to the market, and the farmers are worried it will put the milk prices down again. At the end, the EU ends up with a milk powder mountain. This unsustainable agricultural policy of the EU encourages the idea of overproduction of milk, which is then exported to different countries. EU exports of fat-filled milk powder have increased by 24%. This mix of skimmed milk powder and vegetable oil is 30% cheaper than whole milk powder available in foreign markets. And that's why it is sold much more, which hinders the sale of local milk. The EU export is overabundant stocks of powdered milk and kill off local agriculture. Abolishing quotas and overproduction further increased deterioration of milk prices worldwide. Due to that, both milk farmers in Europe and non-EU go bankrupt. The pressure of overproduction and hyper-efficiency in a setting of unstable market with unbearable prices is an act of despair. It is a system where the cows are turning into turbo-productive objects. Milk is getting cheaper than water. Farmers can barely cover their production costs. The EU is covered in milk powder. The export is destroying local markets, and customers are getting low-quality milk. The EU should review its current milk policy in order to support small, local, and sustainable producers. With that said, the need for structural measures, such as regulation mechanisms, is extremely urgent and greater than ever. Otherwise, it will forever stay as an ineffective system in which the unregulated market does not protect neither farmers, neither cows, neither their milk.